Welcome to Unedited, episode 25. I am Jordan. I'm joined by...
It's me.
Ethan.
Yeah.
He loves to introduce himself, so I always get him to do this.
Big time.
It's a highlight for your week, isn't it?
Big time, baby.
Yeah?
I like it.
Yeah?
I like to say it's me.
Oh, I'm glad you do.
One time I'm going to pull out the Mario after.
Okay.
It's a me.
I actually like that.
Yeah?
That'd be perfect.
Okay.
Yes, we're waiting on that for a future episode coming up here. I got to say right off the hop, though, the weather's driving me crazy this week.
Yeah.
You know, we had to have that +5 yesterday. You just had to.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like
I don't know who's scheduling this stuff.
How?
But it's a serious scheduling error.
Everything was nice, and, you know, we had like a solid, well, maybe the -25 was getting a little out of hand, but, you know, you just keep a nice solid -7. Nothing melts, nothing gets messy, but, like, it's ice out there today. And it's ice covered. Like even walking into the building here, like was like an actual. You're taking a risk, right?
We followed each other in.
Yeah.
And you said, "Watch out here," and I'm glad you did. Because I was holding a coffee, a bag, a water bottle. You know, the classic getting into the office shuffle.
Yeah.
And I was glad you said something. I had to pull the door to break an ice seal on the bottom.
Oh yeah.
You must have used the other door.
No, I did. It was nuts. It's because the roof melted and everything's kind of dripping off, right? And now we're a healthy -29 right now, feels like, or something like that. And then we're getting a couple more plus days coming up. But I find this melt in the middle of this kind of like snow and stuff just makes everything messy, icy. It ruins walks. It's
gross.
It's not good, eh?
I don't like it. This is the thing. I was talking to my neighbor, and we were remarking how, because actually, so this is really nice. I got home and my neighbor's shoveling my driveway, which is very nice.
That's a beautiful thing, yeah.
So I popped out there and shoveled with him, and we were just chit-chatting, shooting the breeze and stuff. And I was like, hey, it's supposed to be like 0 degrees in the next couple of days. And we both agreed it's like so much better off to not have that. Like, even if you like warm weather, which, first of all, you're wrong, but that's your prerogative to be wrong about that. But if you like warmer weather in the middle of, like, at the beginning of December, like, it's worse for the city. Like, it's worse for everybody because the ruts are worse. Now the ruts are slippery as well. Mm-hmm. You know how sometimes you're driving down a street, and Saskatoon's notorious for not grading the ruts away.
Oh, man,
like, you can't turn because your tires are in the ruts. Mm-hmm. Like, especially now, it's not happening. I was driving in the west side of Saskatoon, going like 25. This was last week, so it's still cold. It wasn't super icy or anything. It was just after the snow, so some of it was compacted and stuff. But then I was driving, just dropped off a guy and was leaving his house, and my tire hits a little bit of a rut and slips off one side. Mm-hmm. My whole car just does a 90-degree turn.
Oh, that's just the best feeling ever.
I was going like 20, 25 kilometers an hour. Not fast at all.
Yeah.
Like taking it easy.
Yeah.
And just a slight bump, and all of a sudden my car is sideways in the middle of the road.
This happened to me all the time on Pine House because they get crazy ruts on this street too. Mm-hmm. That's a street where the church is located here. It's dangerous. It's not. You don't even have to be going quick, but it literally turns you this way.
Yeah.
And then you start to question your tires. You start to question your all-wheel drive. You start to question life a little bit, right? And
we had kind of come into the city at the same time today. And
we did.
Which made me, because I was trying to see if I could beat you here. You took a slightly different route than me, though.
I was driving a little quick, too.
And I thought maybe I could beat him to the church. It might be fun, because we had given a couple nods on the highway on the way in. It was kind of funny. And then you took a different way, and I thought maybe I could get there. I was driving down Pine House.
Yes.
And I felt my car, not like a full movement, but I just felt my car a couple little
exactly. You gotta be careful.
Wiggle to the side. And I was like, all right, Ethan, this is not worth beating Jordan to work. Just take it slow.
And we came pretty close, right? We came pretty
close.
Pretty close. Yeah, I might have been going a little quicker than I should have, but
thank you for confessing.
Not too bad though, you know.
This is the confession podcast now. Let's relabel this podcast Confessions.
Yeah.
And we'll just make it all about, we'll have guests in every week. We'll be like, what did you do this week?
Can you imagine that?
That'd be crazy.
Man, that'd be some interesting
stories. That'd be unhinged.
Yeah, it really would.
So I have to tell you something.
Yes.
Listeners and watchers are going to want to know this too.
Okay.
Have you noticed I'm talking a little bit different today?
I have, actually.
Okay.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but...
Did you notice in staff meeting?
No, I did not notice it, but I was sitting beside you, so I wasn't looking over or anything like that.
So the more I talk, the more my mouth is giving me a hard time. What had happened was... I made these amazing breakfast sandwiches this weekend. Jordan, you would have loved these things. Okay, so I got bagels, and I got some bacon that was on a crazy sale. You know how sometimes you see bacon is like $6 off, and you're like, all right.
Just go for it.
I'll get bacon for half price.
Get it done, yeah.
So I got some bacon, and by the way, it was lightly maple. So not maple bacon, lightly maple. Because if you ever bake maple bacon in your house, like your whole house smells like maple bacon for 6 days.
Yes,
you know what I mean? It's disgusting.
Does not
actually.
leave.
Yeah, it's fine in a restaurant or whatever, but at home, like, I'm not trying to do that, you know? And my wife will be like, just straight up, don't bring that stuff in the house. Anyway, so lightly maple bacon is the play. And I had it, and I had some bagel and some egg and some cheese, and I made these little bagel sandwiches over the weekend, and it was enough supplies to have a few days. One thing is that if you got to take those puppies on a go, like taking breakfast to go can be so frustrating if you got toast or porridge or anything that's like open on a table. So you grab your bagel, you wrap it in paper towel, and then you wrap it in tin foil. You throw it in the car. And whenever you open that puppy, the paper towel has helped absorb some of the moisture from the warm food. Yeah. So the bagel doesn't get soggy, and the tin foil keeps it all warm. So you open it up, and it's like fresh. Anyway.
This is stuff to write down. I actually think it is, though, for real, because like sometimes when you wrap that stuff up, you get like a wet like sandwich, and it doesn't taste good.
I think I'm going to start doing that with wraps too, to be honest, because you wrap them in tin foil or saran wrap or whatever. Like I usually try to put stuff in reusable containers, but sometimes it's just, you don't have it ready or whatever. So we keep cling wrap on hand. And I think I might want to put a piece of paper towel in there, keep it from getting soggy. Anyway, so I was eating this breakfast sandwich. It's like 9:30 on my day off, like I'm eating breakfast late. My cats are on the couch with me. Yeah. We have like a coffee table that pulls up to like a dining table height if you sit on the couch. So like I was eating on the couch and everything, just like the most chill day off vibe ever.
I like this scene. Yeah. This is just relaxation.
You vibing with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
And I'm just chomping into this bagel, just like, yum, 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 yum. And I'm drinking my tea, just a beautiful morning. And then all of a sudden I hear this sickening sound in my head, which is just like a crunch sound.
No.
And it's the sound of my teeth cutting through my tongue.
Oh.
And it was not just like, oops, I nibbled my tongue. It was like, I think my teeth met between my tongue. It was brutal. So I ran to the sink and got some cold water. I don't have any ice cubes on hand. Otherwise I would have popped one in there right away. I took an Advil right away because I didn't want swelling to go crazy.
No.
And I was like rinsing my mouth and just like bloody water coming out and stuff, with cold water, just trying to hold cold water. Anyways, I don't want to gross people out, but let's just say like if you're getting a haircut and somebody like snipped your earlobe or something, or if you got a big juicy steak, you start cutting it and stop, just a little flap.
That's what this was? That describes what this feels like?
Okay, well, let's be honest. I didn't need stitches or anything, okay? No. But it was bad enough that now I have like a lisp because the more I talk, the further on the day goes.
Okay.
The more it gets like inflamed and annoyed from me moving around.
Okay.
So I have to like retain my tongue in a certain way that gives me a little bit of a lisp.
So we may have to make this a bit of a mini episode, which in our case means an hour and a half, right?
Mini episode, 90 minutes. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
anyway, sorry. Thanks for humoring my story.
I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that you're feeling a bit better. I hope everything heals up good.
I'm
there.
alive. I made it.
I'm
a survivor, Jordan.
Well, I know. I'm proud of you. So
thank you.
We'll jump into this. We won't waste our words on the introduction here. We're going to get into a parlay. Does that sound good?
Waste our words. I just talked for 20 minutes.
What I mean by waste our words is I don't want you to I don't want you to feel worse kind of thing, because the more you talk, the worse it gets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking of you here, okay? I'm just looking out for you on this one.
Thanks, Jay. That's nice.
So we're going to parlay. We're going to look at what's happening in the neighborhood. We're going to see your comments and stuff. How about you? But we're going to jump right into it. Let's parlay. Parlay. Mm-hmm. So we're in a Christmas vibe here. Last week we talked about movies and why our list is the definitive list of true Christmas movies.
That's right.
And those are the best, the ones we talked about, right? 100. No, okay, I'm kidding you. There's probably better ones.
Definitely
out there.
Nobody disagreed with us in comments at all.
Yeah, exactly. People took no issue with that. But today we're going to flip it a bit. We're going to talk about Christmas again, but let's talk about music. Christmas tunes. You up for that?
I love Christmas tunes.
So do I. I love them too.
When did you start listening?
You see, okay, here we go. This is the first thing that's going on. November 1st is fair game for me.
Wow.
And the reason why that's fair game is because the season is so short. And me being a huge music person anyways, I'm at year-end list stuff right now with a bunch of groups that I'm in.
Okay.
So I'm re-listing to all my favorite records of this past year. And then I got to somehow get Christmas music in there as well. So I figure if I start Christmas music early in November 1st and I get more time with it, I get to listen to everything. I want to play every one of my favorite records at least once or twice, right?
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, lately on my walks and stuff, especially when it's not +4 and it feels wintry out there, I put Christmas tunes on. It actually sounds kind of nice. So
that's the thing, is Christmas is such a highly reflective time for me.
Yeah.
And it's such a like an emotionally steeped time, that if you don't do the discipline, even I'll call it a discipline, of listening to Christmas music enough in advance, you'll get to Christmas and feel like you're not prepared for it. Exactly. At least for me.
Yeah, exactly.
So like I need to, like the other day I was driving home and I had a really good podcast I was listening to about like some mystery, somebody went missing, whatever.
Okay.
It was like really tantalizing for me.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? I need to stop this because it's snowing and I need some Christmas music because this is going to be one of those nights that just brings me into that Christmas mode a little bit more, you know?
Yeah.
And I love Christmas music, but sometimes I'm like, well, I'll do something. You gotta put it on eventually or else you're not going to be in the mood.
Yeah. And don't miss those moments when the snow's coming down and put that music on.
That's right.
I'm with you 100%.
Lest ye live for eternity in regret.
Let's have no regret about our Christmas music. But you didn't answer the question. When do you start listening to Christmas music?
I don't want to answer that question.
I want you to answer.
I don't have to answer questions.
Why are you one of these?
I don't answer questions.
Are you one of these December 20th people? So I know people like that, and they drive me bananas.
Crazy. That's way too late.
Okay. Is November 1st too early then?
Well, I think November 1st is a little too early for me. I might play mid-November, early November. I might play a couple tracks.
Okay.
But I'm not like listening to it all the time. It's not on when I'm cooking. It's not,
Yeah.
And then Christmas jazz, instrumental music, just some random generated playlist off Spotify will be on December anytime that there's just like, I'm cooking supper or whatever. Throw it on.
It's good to have on. Yeah.
Wake up in the morning, making tea, throw on some Christmas tunes.
Yeah.
know? So December is when I go heavy. Like it's happening more regularly, but
yeah. So you are in Christmas tune mode right now as we speak.
Big time.
So what we're going to talk about today is our favorite Christmas albums. Does that sound good to you?
Sock it to me.
So I even brought some records today. I wasn't sure if I was going to bring them or not, but you gave me the thumbs up. So I brought a few records to show off too. So to show people some of the music that I like to listen to at Christmas time. So how do we want to do this? Do we want to do a top 5 again like we did last week? And here's the thing. The ranking on this is impossible for me for this one. This is one where we're just going to share 5 and maybe talk about a few other ones that are kind of out there. Does that sound okay? So we'll share 5 each.
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Why don't you start us off?
You want me to start?
Yeah. What's a Christmas album you like?
Jordan,
what?
Why you got to do this to me? I didn't prepare for this.
And you didn't? Okay.
I'm just kidding.
I'm putting you on the spot.
I got it right here. So here's the thing. Our friend Bing Crosby.
Yes.
Is impossible to discern what his discography is because he has 8 million compilation albums.
Yes.
And so I tried to figure out what the definitive Bing Crosby Christmas album is. The best that I can discern is that White Christmas is my favorite Bing Crosby album.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even exist on some streaming platforms as an album. It's a compilation.
Okay.
And so it's kind of tricky. I don't know. Maybe at the time he didn't even do it as an album. But there is a collection of Bing Crosby Christmas tunes called White Christmas, and that is my number 1.
And these are them right here.
Oh!
So you got White Christmas, Bing Crosby, and it's one of my number 1s too, I think. Like I don't know if it would be one like top, but close. There's something so comforting about his music, I find, that is just so, and this is the White Christmas album, but it's just when I listen to this stuff, this makes me feel like the holidays. Like very few things 100%. Do that, but this really puts you in that mood, right?
Yes. And for listeners, Jordan has the vinyl here. He just pulled it out. He produced it like magic. When I started bringing it up, he just had it already.
Yeah. Well, we didn't plan it. We somehow landed on that. So.
Yeah. And it worked out really good.
So yeah. Yeah, no,
I love that.
Bing's is awesome. I think it's fantastic. I think my favorite song on there is probably White Christmas or Silent Night. He does a really good Silent Night. It's got like that, it almost feels like going to bed. Does that make sense? Like it's got like I don't know, there's something to it. It's
settle in.
Yeah.
It's like get warm, get some eggnog, be with people you love.
That's it. Bing Crosby, right up there.
This is the thing, is that this album harkens back to a time that I do not necessarily want to return to. Like I'm not one of those people that's like, wow, the past is nice and nostalgic and cozy. I wish we could do that again. Yeah. But I want to remember it because there are certain parts that he represents. Like the best of the era is represented through this album. Yeah. In the sense of like community and warmth and like just a bunch of the community being on the same page of like sharing in this time and being generous and caring to each other and like quiet, soft moments and reflective times and, and so like all of that is represented. Like, again, I don't need to get into the things of the era that I don't want to go back to, but there's a lot of good stuff that I think is like pulled forward in a Christmas album. So it's like, not only is it Christmas, it's also like a very fond reflection of like, the era that like our parents grew up in and stuff.
I agree.
And even like before that, you know? And
yeah. And even last week, like some of my favorite Christmas movies that focus on those eras are just the warmest feeling things in the world.
Yeah.
I just like it.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to go with one. I'm going to throw one out to you. It's kind of along It's kind of along the same vein to an extent, but for me, it's Nat King Cole, the Christmas song.
Okay.
Was he on your list?
No, but I like that you brought that.
Okay, this one, like Nat King Cole has such a comforting kind of voice for Christmas music as well. It's a little softer, a little bit more toned down. I'm going to open this one up though, just because sometimes when the vinyl looks cool, I like to show it off.
Ooh, okay.
So this one came on what they call candy cane vinyl.
All right, so listeners.
So the vinyl is a mix of, it looks like a candy cane. It's got like half white, half red. It is kind of a cool vinyl, eh?
It is gorgeous.
I definitely like it. I think they did a good job with it. And this is one of those ones that I play every single year. When we put the tree up this year, is what I had on.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
Man,
one of my
what a nice disc. I bet when that spins, it becomes a nice pink.
It, kind of, and it doesn't go that fast. But if I put it on fast speed, maybe it would actually it would mesh a bit more.
Yeah, I guess it's
I've
not
never thought
spinning
about
like
that.
as fast as a disc would or something.
I spin it at 33, but if I move it up to 45, it actually would go a lot quicker. So you giving me ideas,
and then you could get through it quicker.
Yeah, there you go.
You'd be like, I got to cram this in.
Yeah, it'd be like, oh come on, faithful, joyful entry. It would just be like a Chipmunks kind of sounding thing, Nat King Cole style.
Alvin and the Chipmunks, is that on your list? Just got to see.
It's not on my list.
Okay, good.
No, what's number?
I mean, it's fun.
What's your second?
They got one track.
Are you leading into Alvin and the Chipmunks here, or what?
Yeah, I wanted to get you ready. Well, I've got an album that is a new discovery for me this year.
Okay.
There's an artist called Anomaly. I believe he's a French jazz pianist, instrumentalist. So Anomaly, Anomalie, and he does just phenomenal work in general. Some of his albums are some of my top played albums on Spotify, but he has a new album called Holidays.
Okay.
And it is like jazzy, sort of deconstructed classic tunes.
Yep.
But you recognize the hooks, right? Like you recognize the lines, and he really pulls them together in unique, creative ways. Like I'll give you a couple of tracks off this one. He's got O Tannenbaum, Silent Night, Last Christmas, The First Noel, Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and Have Yourself a Merry Christmas, and then one called Sleigh Ride that I don't actually know if I recognize it as an original. I don't. It might be original. I don't know. I shouldn't say things like that in case there's somebody out there that's going to correct me. But Anomaly, everybody should throw some of that on.
I literally just wrote it down on the our page notes here because I want to add it right after we're done. I'm always looking for something new.
You'll like it.
That's cool. And it came out this year?
Yeah, I believe it was just this year. Yeah, it came out. No, it was last year, 2023.
Okay, still close enough, right?
I only found it this year. So,
Anomaly, check that out. You have to remind me about that one right when we're done, okay?
Will do.
Because I will check it out. I'm going to bring a classic out here. I don't know if you'd like this at all. And maybe this is like something you've never even heard of.
Can I take a guess? I haven't seen it.
Please go ahead.
Boney M.
There you go. Boney M. Boney M's Christmas album. How'd you know I was going to go that way?
Dude, because like the way that you introduced it, it's like this is one that is synonymous with Christmas for a certain generation.
Yeah.
But is also not what would necessarily hit you as... Well, obviously Christmas, Boney M.
Yeah.
You know, like a...
Yeah. Like for me, it's the tape. My parents had the tape and they played it over and over again.
Yeah, all the time.
And like the music is slightly cheesy almost in some spots, right?
Yeah.
But yet it's perfect for Christmas, and I associate it with Christmas because that's what I listened to growing up, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like post-disco, right? Like it's sort of like it's a unique sound, which is really strange.
And their sound is good on like their non-Christmas music. They've got some really cool like things going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like
they were a super group, right?
This one just like I don't know. Yeah, it brings in like the I don't know. There's some of the sounds they use on the production on this album.
Yep.
They just like they could only work for this.
Yeah.
You could not have that on like a regular song, right? It has to be like Christmas or winter or something.
And without the nostalgia, I bet it would be super weird.
That's what I wonder
Like
too.
if somebody listened
For the
fresh
first time.
ears this year and you're an adult or something, I bet you'd be like, why?
Yeah.
But this is actually on my list, Jordan.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So we agree on this.
We've got 2 in common so far.
I appreciate that. Yeah. My favorite song on this thing is probably, it's one of the instrumental songs. Actually, no, it's probably When a Child is Born.
Feliz Navidad.
I like When a Child is Born a lot.
Yeah.
There's another one called Winter Something. It's not on this, but you could find it on the Winter Fairy Tale. It's just like a instrumental.
Can I peek at the track list here?
Yeah, it's quite a tune.
It's been a long time since I've just looked at it without, playing it necessarily. There's one that's an absolute bop.
Are you thinking of
Feliz Navidad?
Yeah,
that one I think is like one of the most fun instrumental intros to a Christmas song.
I agree.
It's just this little like super whimsical.
Yeah.
Like what is even? I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Great record. What do you got for us next? Third record.
Jordan, I would say that's in the top 5.
That is in the top 5. That would be.
I would say so.
Yeah, that one. I think all these would probably be in my top 5. It's just tough to where to rank them. So
yeah. Also, check out the makeup. Love it. Okay, so that one's one of mine. So I guess I'll just a Phil Wickham album.
Yeah.
Okay, so Phil Wickham has had an interesting career in music.
Yep.
He started as like a progressive Christian worship artist. Mm-hmm. And then he got more and more into very secular Christian worship music.
Yeah.
And I mean secular not in the sense of genre, but like secular in terms of appeal. And I don't really like Phil Wickham anymore. I'm going to be honest with you. His songs that he puts out now, I'm kind of like, we've heard him before. You know what I mean? Like it's sort of like a factory, you know, like they just keep coming out. Anyway, so I'm not trying to throw shade at him, but I'm just trying to say that there's a very specific moment in his career where he did an album called Songs for Christmas. Mm-hmm. And it was the most wonderful, like warm and interesting take on a bunch of classics.
Nice.
And I think everybody should listen to it. It's got really nice like electric piano.
It is good.
Just very like soft and warm. Everything's very warm. And he almost sings like a crooner in his own way. And this is at the time where like his vocal trills and stuff were also like more unique to him because people hadn't started like copying him in like Christian worship music spaces and stuff. Like lots of people do Phil Wickham stuff in music now because he's like one of those big Christian music guys.
Yeah.
But at the time it was like you'd hear him do these little things and you're like, oh, I like that you did a little lift there instead, you know? And anyway, so Phil Wickham, Songs for Christmas, love it. I think it's like a 2010 track.
I'm going to have to add it up because he actually just put something new out this year. Yeah. I didn't add it. It was another Christmas take or something.
I think it's called Hallelujah, It's Christmas.
But I am going to go back to the one that you're talking about.
I saw that.
Because I remember playing it when it came out and I remember really enjoying it.
Yeah. The new one is called Hallelujah, It's Christmas. 2011 was Songs for Christmas. Also, I listened to this my first Christmas at college.
Yeah.
And it was also in the time, like so many firsts in that first year of college. So lots of nostalgia attached to that.
Well, and that's the thing. And a lot of these favorite albums are that because of nostalgia and the soundtrack of your life, in a sense, where it finds you, right?
Yeah. So the intro, the prelude to that album, whenever I listen to it, it just takes me right back to being 17.
I can appreciate that.
And, I guess 18. Yeah.
I can appreciate it.
All right. Another one from you?
Yeah, another one from me. I have to pull this out because
we've
kind of been talking about this lately.
Oh, come on. Let's go.
John Williams, the Home Alone soundtrack. Now, this thing is super expensive. Like, I think I spent like $70 on this bad boy.
Wow.
But it's a double LP.
Wait, is that expensive for a double LP, though?
It's getting closer now, but like, yeah, it still is. It still would be. Like, you want something more in the 40 range, I would say.
Oh, wow.
40-something range. But so it's got a cool cover. Like, it's got the Home Alone house on here. And
it looks great.
If you pull up the sleeves, like it shows like the party that Kevin sent out.
I love that.
And then the inside of it shows like his house and like what was happening. Like whoever did this production, this was done by Mondo Records, apparently.
Wow. That art is amazing. Is there art attributed to anybody on the back of this?
I don't think so. I think it's just kind of...
Because that album art is something else.
Thrown out there, yeah. But it's the score. And so like this is like... If you want to talk about nostalgia music, this is what this is for me. Like whenever I put this stuff on, I'm taken back to like, you know, watching that movie 60 times at Christmas when I was like 12, right? Like, or not even, I'd have been younger. I'd have been like 9 or 10 or something, right? So, and just a great score, great listen, great music.
This is the peak of physical media right here.
I actually really like that. Yeah, collection. That's why that's why I sprung for it.
Very nice.
I remember going in to order it at the record store in Winnipeg, and the guy told me the price, and I was just like, Then he looks at me and goes, "Man, that'd be awesome to have on vinyl." And I was like, "Okay, order it."
Yeah.
And he kind of convinced me. He didn't need to pull my arm or anything.
What could listeners Google to see this?
Just Google Home Alone John Williams vinyl.
It's called a what? Like the fact that it's two.
Yeah, just 2 LP.
Just a
2 LP. Yeah. There's a couple editions that came out. My vinyl was black, but there was one that was a cheese pizza vinyl. So the vinyl's kind of like white with like a little orange in it.
Really?
Yeah, and then there was another edition that was red and green, but they didn't come to Canada, so I couldn't order them.
Wow.
So the cheese pizza idea is kind of fun though, because if you've watched that movie, right?
I have to show you a video after this. I actually might try to show you it right now. Do you mind?
Which you
because I'll play it. I'll play the audio onto the thing. We'll see. Hold on. It's not. You don't need to. I just gotta make sure this is the right one. Okay, so this is the video, Jordan. So the vinyl guy won't stop talking to me at a party. That's the name of the. That's the name of the video. The vinyl guy won't stop talking, and he's got a pizza box, and he opens up an album, and there's a pizza inside.
I think this is his best album, like by far.
Really?
100%. I know it's cheesy, but like
that is hilarious.
In my brain. I know it all by heart.
And it's music?
Used to call me on my pizza.
So I bet you he bought this at Record Store Day if there was actually music on there.
Yeah.
Because Record Store Day is famous for these gimmicks, like putting out like pizza-looking vinyls and stuff.
Just to be clear, that was a literal pizza on a turntable. It's just a joke. Okay. But the idea is it's Drake's song, Hotline Bling, where he says, "You used to call me on my cell phone," but it says, "He used to call me on my pizza."
I liked it.
Anyway, I'm sorry, guys, but I just had to get that reference out there because that is, you mentioned a vinyl, literally a vinyl being a pizza. Yeah. That's a perfect connection to that.
Absolutely. Number 5, I think. Is that where we're at?
I don't know.
You give me a 5th album, I think.
Okay, so
you can do 2 if you want because we tied on 1, but
I have to ask you a bit of a question before I give you this one.
Okay.
What do you think about if you enjoy somebody's art and it comes out that this person has had deplorable behavior?
That's tough.
What do you do?
It's difficult because you have to decide like if you could still enjoy the art aside from whatever it is that bothers you, right? I have a Christmas album like this, and as if this is where you're going, maybe it's the same one.
Me and you were talking about the same thing. Is it in your top though?
It would be one of my tops. I don't have it with me here, but I do own a copy. It's from the 60s?
No.
70s?
Nope.
Oh, okay. So
we're not talking about the same one.
Okay, we're thinking of something different.
Okay, I'd be curious to hear what that one is.
Okay.
But so here's the thing is that CeeLo Green
has
become a problematic figure.
Yes.
And he hasn't become, he's been revealed to be a problematic figure in the sense that I don't even know all the details. So I'm not like reporting on this or anything, but the idea is he's not been a great person. Yeah. He's made some serious bad choices, but he put out this album, CeeLo's Magic Moment.
I remember it.
And that album between 2012, 2013 when it came out.
Right around there. I was there the day you got it, by the way.
I got it from you at a gift exchange.
Exactly.
Yeah, which was good.
Yeah.
And it came with a pack of beef jerky. That was great.
Did it
beef
actually?
Jerky and a CD. Yeah,
oh, there you go.
Yeah, so perfect. I like that. But that album was huge for me and my wife even. Yeah. It was just like every Christmas listening to it. And then, it comes to light that CeeLo Green is like a really messed up guy. Yeah. And I don't know what to do with it because the Christmas album it's like if it's important for us to stop listening to stuff because of what somebody's done, then I shouldn't listen to it. But if it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, but if it's okay to continue to enjoy somebody's art even though they've done really bad things, then it's in my list. So I don't know what to do with it. Like, honestly, I haven't listened to it yet this year. Like, ever since I found out, I don't know. I don't know.
It just leaves you kind of uneasy with the whole thing, right?
Yeah. I'm just like,
That's fair.
I don't know. I don't know. Is he just like making bank all the time because people streaming this stuff or whatever? But anyway, some of the tracks on there are just like really fun.
Yeah, they are.
Run Run Rudolph would be the top one.
Your favorite of the bunch?
Yeah.
Interesting. No, I do remember this Christmas album, and I remember you getting it at that gift exchange, and I listened to that quite a bit when it came out too. I thought we were talking about the same album. I was talking about Phil Spector's Christmas album from like the 70s. I think it was the 70s.
Okay.
A Christmas Gift for You. And in that album, like Phil Spector, if you Google him, you'll find out he served a life sentence later on.
Uh-oh.
And the whole thing, like, is just one of the most magical Christmas albums ever. He did it with a bunch of artists, Darlene Carter and the Pointers, and like a bunch of like up and coming artists. And it's that classic Christmas music that we hear all the time.
Yeah.
But it's tough for me to know what to do with the art because of that situation.
Yeah.
I'll show one more album.
Let's get it. Whoa!
I'll show Sufjan Stevens' Christmas album.
This looks like a puzzle box. It's
you know
so
what?
big.
There's 5 albums in here. 5 little EPs.
5?
Yeah. So
how many tracks are in each one?
About 7 or 8. These are the little things he did on the side in his like bedroom essentially, and
Wow.
then released this project. Actually, he's got a whole second one that's more electronic that I don't own, because it cost $300. I'm just not going there yet. but this is such a great album. This is one of those Christmas albums I could start in October, no problem. I'll play it in fall. It's just that kind of music. He does a lot of traditional songs. He wrote some songs. The cool thing about his music, though, is he made it all public owned. So, like, I forget what the wording is for that.
Public domain?
Yes, public domain. Yeah, so he didn't trademark any of it. So people can use it, reproduce it, do what they want. But it is what it is, right? So, but I do like Sufjan's album. It's quite good. I'll show you 1 or 2 more. Elf, do you like Elf at all?
Whoa.
So I got
yeah,
the
I
Elf.
like Elf. Can I say real quick with Sufjan Stevens, did you listen to Javelin? Have we talked about Javelin
Yeah,
before?
Javelin's a pretty awesome
That's
album.
a great
yeah.
album.
I do agree with you.
Very compelling. You got to
Yeah.
be ready for it.
Kind of deep, yeah.
It's going to make you tear up.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I'll
is
show
that-
this because I knew you
Is
would like
that
this.
Pink.
Yeah, it's like a violet kind of like they said some silly
Wow.
thing on here. I forget what they called it, but some sort of like sugar or something
Yeah.
vinyl. But it's kind of a cool record, eh?
And then it's got a picture of Will Ferrell in his PJs curled up on a little elf bed.
And that's why you need to own the record.
It's beautiful.
So
Love that.
yeah.
Have
But-
you got any more?
Well, I have one more. Yeah, I have Ingrid Michaelson's album as well, Songs for the Season.
Jordan, I got to tell you something.
What's that?
I have no idea who that is.
Okay, you need to check it out. It's
Okay.
really good. It's kind of modern. I think it came out when this thing dropped, 2018. So it's been out
Whoa.
for 6 years or so.
Okay.
Like the art is awesome, eh? Like the picture looks like
It looks
so
like
classic,
it's from the
eh?
1950s or something.
I don't
Well,
know.
actually, maybe the 60s.
They did a
but-
great job, I found, of marketing the thing, and
That's cool.
It's one of the more modern ones I've discovered that I think is just really good. So
Ingrid Michaelson.
yeah, Songs for the Season.
Just going to take a snap picture of that real quick.
Add it up, you'll
so
like
I don't
it.
Forget it.
So why don't you let us know what you like for Christmas music? We kind of shared a bunch of what we like, what we think is cool. Let us know what you're listening to, and we're gonna jump into what's happening in the neighborhood.
In the neighborhood.
All right, in the neighborhood. So we're doing this series right now. Pastor Louis started this past week, and it's also something we're doing collectively as a church family. We're going through Advent. We're going through the themes of Advent. Advent, what's your experience with it? Like when you grew up in church, did you guys focus on Advent? Was it something you skipped? What did you think?
Yeah, no, it's not something that we were too crazy about. I think as a family, we would light an Advent set.
Yeah.
So we do it at home, which is funny because I talked to my old man this week, and I was asking him about if they were starting Advent at their church or not. He's a pastor in Thunder Bay, and he's like, no, I don't think our church is going to run Advent that typical way. But I was like, why not? Like we used to do it as a family growing up. Anyway, so yeah, we definitely did Advent like as a family. I don't know how much it was done at church though. What
Yeah.
about for you?
I grew up Catholic, so it was the focal point for the
Right.
for the most part, because I think for the most part they followed the church calendar,
Mm-hmm.
and so it had its meaning to it. But I picked this up more probably about 5 years after I came to faith myself. So probably my low 20s. I began to look at the themes, take it a little bit more meaningful, like start reading devotions. That kind of got me into the mindset kind of thing. And then churches I was a part of started to celebrate the themes. And so each week at the neighborhood, what we're doing is we're getting a family, which I think is awesome, to come up and read a scripture and say a prayer and light a candle, right?
Right.
That represents whatever theme we're looking at. And so this past week, we looked at the theme of hope. And upcoming this week, we're going to move on to the next theme, which is peace, then joy, then love. And you're going to be talking about peace this week. So
Do you
I'm
mean
excited
love
to hear
then
you.
joy, or
What's
do you mean joy then love?
Well, joy then love. It depends
Interesting.
how you do it. Everyone does it a little different, right? Like there's different traditions who mix these things up. Like some would say hope, love, joy, peace.
Yep.
And then, but what we're doing is hope, peace, joy.
Some
love.
wouldn't even say those words at all.
No.
It's very complicated.
It is.
And if you ever look this up, like on the internet, you don't get like, this is what these people do. This is what this faith tradition does.
Yeah.
It's just like
Everywhere.
you get 6 different articles in a row that
Yeah.
are about different orders.
Yes, because we've had trouble with this in the past, actually, trying to figure out like, so what is the legit?
We've had
order
trouble
of
with
this?
it here this year because
week, yeah.
our young adults started a week early because we end a week before the end of Advent for
Yeah.
the Christmas break.
Yeah.
And so we started with hope, and then I was writing on joy. But I'm also speaking next week at the church, so I would be speaking second week. And so I would have done a young adults message on joy and then a sermon on joy. But then I talked to Pastor Louis, and he was like, no, it's peace the second week. And I was like, okay. So then I did peace anyway. Yeah. So, it's as long as you're doing Advent.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're getting through the themes. That's for sure. Yeah. But
absolutely.
Advent means arrival. It's to anticipate the coming of Christ. It's to me, I look at Advent personally as like you kind of put yourself in that story. Even though we know what's happened already, we try to anticipate. We try to capture what it would have felt like to be waiting for the Messiah to come, right? Mm-hmm. And and waiting is not something that's easy for us in our culture. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. Do you like waiting?
No. Well, I mean, define like.
Well, what are some things that drive you nuts that you wait for?
Well,
like going.
Do you want me to give you a specific answer here?
Well, sure.
Are you wanting me to emphasize how much we don't like waiting, or do you want me to break the norm a little bit?
You could break the norm a little bit here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because sometimes waiting actually really makes the expectation all this much sweeter.
It does.
But I want to talk about expectation after, because I feel like you're going somewhere with this. But I don't like waiting for silly things. Like I find, especially if I'm anticipating something at a certain time and I'm waiting, then I don't get angry or anything. I just don't like it. Mm-hmm. Like say, for example, you're trying to get to work and you hit a red light and you're like, I really would like to be there 30 seconds sooner than 30 seconds later. I don't like waiting for that light. I'm not going to be mad about it, but I don't like it. Yes. You know what I mean? That sort of thing really, really hangs me up. But what about you?
Waiting for things in the mail sometimes drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Like if I order something and they tell me it's going to be here by Tuesday, and then Friday rolls around and you're kind of like, well, where are you, kind of thing, right? Normally the way they do mail nowadays, especially if it's like with a big company, there's usually a problem if it's not there when they say it's going to be there, right? But I don't know. Yeah, little silly things, waiting for. It just depends what kind of mood you're in, I guess, right? But like when you wait for like a coffee or something, can kind of not make me upset, but just sort of like
we don't like it.
Like we want to go here,
it's
right?
It's uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this idea of waiting, it seems like it can be a lost art in our culture, and yet I agree with you 100%. Waiting actually allows what you're going to receive to be that much better because you actually took some time to wait. And I think that's the whole point behind Advent is that we find ourselves in a season where we anticipate, where we wait, but we also know that we're going to celebrate as well.
Yeah, I think my parents did a good job when we were young to help us understand that the anticipation we felt in waiting to open our Christmas gifts was linked to the same degree of how like we anticipate the arrival of Jesus. And how it's like my parents were, I was very much raised in a Christian home, right? So like, this is just like normal for us. But, you do think about Christmas gifts and how we wait to open them. It's like, why would we do that if it wasn't like, it adds to it, you know what I mean? And it's about like making like a monument out of the day, like.
Okay, so when did you open them then? Now you got me thinking.
Well, we did Christmas Eve.
Okay.
Because that's a Finnish thing. So we would do Christmas Eve presents after the Christmas
Was it tough for you to go to bed after?
No, I mean, we just stay up. Like
Okay.
we weren't in a rush to go to bed.
Yes.
Like it was, we would open Christmas gifts. Well, first of all, we'd go to church. It was a whole day getting ready for church and stuff.
Yeah.
We'd come home after church and we'd have like a late supper that was all just finger foods. And my dad like hunted grouse, so we would have like breaded grouse like strips.
I like it.
And like bacon covered water chestnuts. And anyway, we could talk about Christmas meals another time. But then we would all read the Christmas story with my dad, and then like as in the Luke narrative in the first few chapters of Luke, and then we would open presents, watch a movie, go to bed, wake up at noon the next day or whatever.
Have the whole day.
And just chill out.
That's awesome.
What about you? Were you Christmas morning?
Yeah, we were Christmas morning for the most part, and quite early when we were kids, like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. Like we were the kind of like me and my brother really tried to like get mom and dad out of bed quick. One year they let us do Christmas Eve though. 1 year, just once. 'Cause that's what my mom used to do in her tradition growing up, right? They'd go to the midnight mass at the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
They might have done it backwards, I guess, because like they would open the gifts after. No, they did it after. Actually, she said like it was a late night for them. Like, quite a late night for them.
Yeah.
And we did it, and I remember getting an electric guitar and not being able to put that thing down. And here we are at like 11 o'clock at night, right?
You're just rocking around the Christmas tree.
I didn't even know how to play it, but I just wanted to just get it out and start strumming it, right, and hear some noise.
Yeah.
But no, typically we did sometime early morning, and now with the girls, we're back to early morning. But we got to a point there where it was more like an 11 o'clock thing. Typically, I haven't been at too many churches where I go to church on Christmas Day. I usually go Christmas Eve. So anything's fair game after that. But I had friends who had to wait till after Christmas dinner, so 7 o'clock on Christmas Eve, on the Christmas Day evening.
Wow.
Yeah, and I thought, man, like waiting like that's
crazy.
That would feel crazy
To me, if it's not Christmas Eve, it's Christmas morning. Like I've never even heard of people waiting till, except for maybe if you're going to grandma and grandpa's or something, you know. But
I don't know why they did it, but he said that his parents wanted them to focus, and they were a Catholic family as well, and they just wanted to focus on the day. They went to mass in the morning, and then had their meal sometime in the afternoon, like around 3 or 4, and then they opened their gifts afterwards. So yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. But Advent, we started a series on it this past week. We talked about hope. Pastor Louis gave a good word on hope. You could check it out online as well at the Neighbourhood Church, at it's on our Facebook, our YouTube, and other places, I'm sure. But hope, what does the word hope mean to you? Like when you hear hope?
I love that you're asking this. This is exactly what we asked the young adults like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Hope. Yeah, I mean, I think hope means a lot of different things.
Yes.
Like, I think that hope would mean like to wish in a contemporary setting.
Yeah.
Like, I really hope that such and such happens, you know?
Yeah.
I think we usually, in a contemporary setting, when we talk about it, we mean like, I wish, you know, this is what I would like to happen.
And I think that's typically where I go from too, right? Like now biblical hope is obviously a deeper thing than that, right? But like we use that word flippantly sometimes. We say things like, you know, I hope this works out, or, you know, I just hope that this happens, right? And yet hope is something that's it's beautiful. It's something that we all want. It's something that we want to cling to, right? And
I think we can also identify, sorry, just to slide.
No, I want you to keep going.
Just as much the presence of hope, I think we can all identify the idea of hopelessness.
Yes.
And like that's like a human experience that we would all probably identify with at some point in life, right?
Yeah.
So even if we might struggle to identify hope, if you can see the antithesis in your life or around you or in a circumstance, like when someone says to you, I feel really hopeless, like we understand,
what
you know,
means,
there's like a deep connection to what it means to live without hope. So I think ergo, we probably also sort of like through experience and instinct and community understand what hope is.
Yeah. No, and definitely. I think in order to understand what hope is, you have to understand what hopelessness also feels like, right? And, you know, the Christmas story talks about hope that we put in Christ. And because Christ comes, you know, everything has changed. Everything has shifted, right? One of these Christmas words I always go back to in the Bible is Emmanuel, God with us, right? And that brings hope for us. That brings, everything's different. Everything has like a new meaning to it. And so this past week we talked about hope, and then we're going to be moving into peace, which you already mentioned that you just enjoy, right, at your young adult meetings kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But Pastor Louis talked about this. He talked about hope being found in a relationship with God, and he talked about how Jesus gives you a hope for your past and a hope for your future, right? And how meaningful is that to you, like at Christmas time? Like how do you experience hope afresh?
Well, it's interesting. You're phrasing this in different ways than I've thought before, so I like it. It's challenging me to think of it in a little bit of a different light. I'll tell you how I've been focusing on hope this year after this. I think hope for the future is one that I think we all can identify with, but every year is going to look a lot different, and it's going to be subjective to each person. And like depending on your situation and your need, you're going to be hoping for a different set of things, and like it requires some degree of like introspection and honesty to actually reveal what you actually genuinely hope for. Yeah. And like, well, Louis said this weekend, it was a great example. He's like, none of us hope that we'll wake up and our marriage will be falling apart. Yeah. Or none of us hope that we lose our jobs and fall on hard times. Yeah. None of it, I think that a lot of that, the inverse of that would be true. Like we hope that our marriages will be stronger. We hope that our families will be well. We hope that the new year will bring more financial stability than last year, or whatever, So I don't know if I'm answering your question.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Makes sense.
What does it mean to you? Like, how do you interact with that? What do you think about it?
I see hope as that 100%, exactly kind of what you're talking about there, things that you hope will happen. But the idea behind hope is that hope is something that we cling to, that it's almost like an assurance, like a confidence, like something that's sort of like
a promise.
Yes, exactly. Like despite even your circumstances that you see, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have hope in Christ. There's something greater. There's something that you cling to in this moment, right? And so at Christmas time, I see that hope is renewed to an extent, right? And hope gets me focusing on the right thing at Christmas time, and not just, well, I hope, but true hope. Like, there's hope in Christ because of what He's done, right? And
like
so,
a tether kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not like some projection of whimsical passing things that you wish would happen, but like a tether to your core, like a reality that you keep yourself anchored in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll ask the listeners, like, what do you think of when you hear the word hope, and how do you frame hope within the Christmas story and your situation? And feel free to weigh in comments. Feel free to let us know how that works for you. I like that we go through these 4 themes because they gave us 4 different ways to see the Advent experience. So next week we'll talk a bit more about peace, and you're going to talk a lot this weekend about peace, aren't you?
That's right.
So,
it's going to be an hour and a half each time.
Is it?
Buckle your seatbelts.
Ethan will be speaking in all of our venues this weekend at the Neighbourhood Church. So Saturday at 6, Sunday at 11 at Saskatoon, and Warman at 5 on Sunday.
That's
so
right.
Looking forward to hearing you.
I just got to say something about hope real quick, because when we were talking about it at Young Adults, something that we approached. So the series we're doing at Young Adults is called Anticipate the Advent, and Adventus, Latin being coming. So anticipate the coming of Jesus in your life.
Yes.
And so we talk about messianic expectation with hope.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to hope, very quickly when we hope for something, we have expectation. And expectations are complicated sometimes. Expectations are based off of our experiences and our circumstances, what we're going through, what we're in right now. And you look back at Israel before Jesus came, and they had hope for this chosen one they called the Messiah, right? This chosen person who was going to come, and they had this expectation of him to be a king, to be a warrior, to be somebody who would set people free. So they had built up this hope that they'd anchored in who God was promising to deliver to them. That's hope, right?
Yeah.
And it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's like the anchoring to God's promise, which is good. But the expectations surrounding that hope built up this idea that they were going to have a king that would be like a new David. So like the best king to the Israelites was like King David, right?
Yeah.
So they were going to have a new David, and he was going to kick out Rome from the occupation. He was going to set them free, and he was going to establish like an eternal kingdom for Israel, and he's going to reign over Israel forever. And when Jesus came, he defied their expectations. He let down their expectations. Yeah. They're kind of like looking over here, and he shows up over here, and so as we talked about that, I kind of brought that to our context where the reality is that when we hope, when we trust in God and we believe in his promises, we need to continue to check our expectations, because sometimes Jesus will defy your expectations, but he will fulfill God's promise, just like he did with Israel. So he defied what they expected to happen, but fulfilled God's promise in it. And so when we put our hope in God, I think we got to be mindful and check those expectations, So
I agree,
sometimes
100%.
we hear things and learn things that aren't necessarily entirely helpful from like folk theology, So like people just chatting about things, It's like, hey, if you pray hard enough, Jesus will do this for you, or Christians don't have problems, or pray that problem away and you'll be fine. It's like these aren't actually things that we should expect from Jesus, even while we have hope in him. So anyway, just a note to kind of tack on to the idea of hope.
No, I like it. I have a message I've talked about before called the defiant entry, because even when Jesus entered in the triumphant entry that we talk about around Easter time, they were all excited for him, and like, but really what they were really excited for was what you're talking about right now. They were excited for a king, for a deliverer, for someone to be a king on their terms and their expectations, right? And yet Christ came to fulfill the promises of God, like you said. I even went to Acts chapter 1 here, where Jesus is talking to his disciples, and the first question they say is, "Lord, are you at this time going to restore the kingdom to Israel?" Like they couldn't get past this, right? So tempering our expectations and focusing them on Christ's purposes. Good stuff. I like it.
Even the disciples who lived with Jesus in his ministry asked questions like, when Jesus sets up this kingdom he's been talking about, they're thinking it's going to be like Israel.
Yeah.
They're like, who's going to be the best of us?
Yeah.
You know, and like, who's going to have what order? What area do I get to oversee? And Jesus is like, no, you guys are servants. All right. That's not
right.
how this is going to work.
Yeah.
Which is, I like that defiance of expectation there too. Even the people that were living with Jesus and walking with him every day. So,
yeah.
So
I like
we should
it.
watch our expectations.
Absolutely. I like it. So how about you?
How about you?
We're going to jump in now and ask the viewers what you're thinking here about Christmas music. We talked a bit about stuff. We're going to look at just a few comments from last week. Someone wrote us in about their favorite things to watch every Christmas. Number one, A Muppet Christmas. So you're on board with that, right?
Yeah, Muppet Christmas. Did you say you liked Muppet Christmas too, or no? It was Ashley. Ashley
I
liked
didn't
as
really
well.
know it too well. Yeah.
Get educated, Jordan.
Number two, The Year Without a Santa Claus, which I looked up, is actually a 1974 anime movie. So I've never seen this. Have you?
I've never even heard of this before.
No. So we might have to check. I might have to check this out and give this a look over. But
Ashley, have you heard of it? No. Yeah.
And this person's number three Christmas favorite thing to watch at Christmas was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
We had mentioned Harry Potter a few times last week. Thank you. That is, I love that.
There you go. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your list and
That's
what
a
you
good
enjoy
top
watching.
3, except for the second one, whatever that is. I'm assuming it's good because the other 2 are very good.
We're gonna have to check. I'm gonna have to look into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had another comment. What can you even say, Pastor Ethan, my best friends? We know we're talking about Louis here, right?
That's right, because he calls me his best friend all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He went on this little rant about chicken is a real thing at Costco, $7.99, and mentioned that you're preaching on peace December 7th and 8th.
That's right.
And is that the first time you found out that you were preaching? Or
I found out in the comments, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He put it up in the comments, and I was like, oh, no, I'm just kidding.
You're like,
I'm
I
joking.
better get this together, right?
Yeah.
But he says, I think watching Die Hard as a staff might be considered research.
And you know what's funny about that?
What's that?
This morning at staff meeting,
Yeah.
we bring up this comment. And now we're actually preparing for a staff Christmas movie. Which
Yes,
is,
we are.
So, things happen here.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
say things here on this podcast and they manifest.
Yeah. Next,
you know?
we're not going to watch Die Hard, but next week we're going to go see, what's it called? Red One?
Okay. Well, I didn't want to talk about which movie it was.
Well, I'm bringing this up because you said you wouldn't go to it. So this is a very proud moment for me
I
that
think that's all we have time for today.
that you're going to be a part of this. We're going to go see Red One together.
Next week
And,
is episode 26, is it?
Next
Or,
week we're going to give our review on Red One. Are you down with that?
well, we'll watch it.
And we'll review it.
I will bring
depth.
I will bring a review.
In-depth review.
Yes.
Okay.
And everybody will be able to hear definitively after I've actually experienced it myself.
How bad it is.
Here's the mystery. Yeah, exactly. Is it going to be good?
Yeah. All right.
I mean, we already know. Wait. Let me give you a rating now.
Okay.
And I'm going to try and even count in
Out of
for
5.
next week.
Out of 5.
Out of 5.
Well, 5 stars, right?
Out of 10. Mm-hmm. You always rate things out of 10. Who rates things out of 5?
A lot of places.
Ashley
Producer
does?
Ashley does. I see 5
Really?
more. I see 5 a bit more.
Okay, I always do 10 because it's easier to have breakdowns. Like
Yeah,
you have
'cause
more.
then you don't have to do
more
3.5 or
integers.
7. I understand that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're rating out of 5 and you give it 2.5, just rate out of 10 and give a 5.
Okay, so out of 10, how do you rate this already?
I'm going to give it out of 3.
A 3? Okay.
I'm just going to have a crazy decimal after.
Okay, I'm going to give
No,
it...
okay, out of 10. Out of 10, I'm going to say that it'll probably be, and this is me trying to anticipate myself being generous from having a theater experience with people that I like.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's probably going to max out at a 5 out of 10.
Okay, I got a 6. I'm thinking 6.
Wow.
My expectations aren't too high either, but I'm thinking it's still going to be good, a fun watch. I don't foresee myself ever going back to watch this at Christmas time.
Yeah,
but it's going to be
yeah.
good to watch it this year, and we'll bring a review for it.
There's been a few movies that have scored like lower than 4 for me, though.
Okay.
Because generally, if it was at least a little bit entertaining,
You give
it
it a
gets a
5.
few points.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we'll see. We'll see how that holds up next week.
Well, we'll come back with that review. Why don't you let us know what you're doing this Advent, anything you want to share about that, any thoughts on the word hope, any Christmas music that we missed out on that we desperately need to be listening to. I want to hear your recommendations. Share your top 5 lists. I appreciate seeing what everyone else out there likes. We're signing off. Want to go eat lunch?
Yeah, okay. Love you guys. Bye.
Unedited is a ministry expression of the Neighbourhood Church. Hosted by Ethan Andrews and Jordan McClellan. Produced by Ashley Drayton. Voiceover by me, M. Curry. Watch us on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook. Or listen on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Thanks for listening.